Let's be real, recovering from disordered eating can feel like trying to climb a mountain in the dark. It is so overwhelming. But in this explainer, we're going to talk about a practical framework that gives you something absolutely crucial for that first step: structure.
This sentence, wow, it just hits you, doesn't it? It captures a feeling so many people know all too well. And it's the perfect place for us to start because it cuts right to the heart of the struggle. When the very thing that's supposed to fuel you becomes a source of constant conflict and pain.
So, to really get what that battle feels like on the inside, let's walk through a personal story. Because so often, this is a fight that happens in complete secret.
Okay, so this is Maya. On the outside, to her family and friends, she probably seemed totally fine, but behind closed doors, she was hiding her eating habits, mostly because she just didn't want to worry anyone. And that secrecy, it creates this incredible, profound sense of isolation. You feel completely trapped even when the people who love you are right there.
Her whole relationship with food felt like this wild pendulum swing. It was just chaos, swinging from one extreme to the other. From intense restriction on one side to binging on the other. Just trying to live that way is completely exhausting. It makes feeling stable or at peace almost impossible.
And this is where you can really see that deep connection between food and emotion. For Maya, her emotional state wasn't just influenced by her eating, it was pretty much dictated by it. The highs and lows of her food intake were directly mirrored by her moods, which created this constant state of inner turmoil.
When you strip everything else away, Maya's story really boils down to these two powerful, painful feelings: a deep shame about her habits and this terrifying feeling of being completely out of control of her own actions. And that right there, that's the core of the hidden battle. So how in the world do you escape that kind of chaos? Well, the answer we're exploring here is actually kind of surprising. It's not about being stricter with yourself or white-knuckling it with more control. It's about finding a gentle, predictable structure that you can lean on.
Okay, look at this. I think this slide is so powerful because it lays out the two paths so clearly. On the left, you've got that exhausting vicious cycle. Guilt leads to restriction, which of course triggers a binge, and that's followed by this wave of intense shame. But then look at the other side. You have a path that's built on something simple: regularity. And that regularity, that predictability, fosters stability. That stability then creates the space you need for understanding and ultimately for healing. It's a huge shift from fighting your body to actually working with it. So what does this structured path actually look like day to day? Let's break it down into a toolkit, with some real actionable steps you can use.
All right, this is the foundation. Step 1. Eating regularly is just so crucial. And this is pure biology. It's about stabilizing your hunger hormones to stop those extreme hunger cues that can lead to a binge. Then step 2. This is all about your mindset. Letting go of the labels. No food is morally good or bad. Taking that judgment away helps dismantle the guilt. And step 3 is all about awareness. You kind of have to become a detective in your own life. What situations, what feelings, what times of day push you toward disordered eating?
But look, just identifying your triggers is only half the battle, right? Once you know what they are, you need tools to cope with them without turning to food. And that's where building emotional skills comes in. These have nothing to do with food. They're about managing what you're feeling. Grounding techniques can pull you back into the present moment. A little shock to the system, like splashing ice water on your face, can literally interrupt an intense emotional spiral. And journaling, it just gets all those swirling thoughts out of your head and onto paper, which can give you some much-needed perspective.
This next step, this might be the most powerful one, and it starts with just the number 1. Recovery can feel so huge, and the idea of building some big support network can feel really intimidating. So don't. Just start with 1. One person you trust. One person you can be honest with. Someone you can text or call when things get really hard. Remember Maya's isolation? This single act of connection is the first huge step in breaking that cycle.
And of course, it's so important to say that while these tools are incredibly powerful for starting the journey, they are absolutely not a substitute for professional help. If you or someone you know is struggling, especially if there are health concerns, reaching out to specialized services early is a critical step toward a safe and lasting recovery.
So all of these tools, the structure, the emotional skills, the support from that one person, they're all designed to lead to one final crucial shift, the one that has to happen inside your own mind.
This is really where it all comes together. The structure isn't a punishment, it's a foundation. It's a safe place to stand. And on that foundation, you can finally begin to replace that heavy feeling of shame with genuine understanding. By getting curious about why these patterns showed up in the first place, you can finally start to heal them.
So I really want to leave you with this question, because it completely reframes the whole challenge. Instead of thinking of this as a war against food or a war against yourself, what if recovery is actually an act of creation? A gentle, consistent process of building a new, more supportive routine for your mind and your body. What could that look like for you?